My name is Ronen Schwartz. I'm the CEO in K2view, and this is Rotem, our chief evangelist. And the way I thought to start the session, if that's okay, is with a little bit of a personal story. So I have 3 kids. The little one, don't ask me why, is like really, really young. He's 9-year-old. And this Sunday, he had his birthday, which was a Nerf gun party. So 2 groups were fighting with each other. So because of that, I couldn't really reach Orlando on Sunday. So I needed to take a red eye in the middle of the night and actually get my ass out here on basically on a morning. So you have a red eye in front of you and you get to the airport, and guess what? Who here flew to Orlando? Most of you flew to Orlando? Who got their flight on time? Who got their flights not on time? So it's usually about 30% of the flights don't get on time. Mine was one of those that don't get on time. So I'm a little bit panicking. Hod is counting on me to be here in the morning on the first meeting. So I call United, and they are really, really nice to me because I do fly a lot. So somebody is on the other side is saying, thank you, Mr. Schwartz, for being a global services, the 2 million milers, and so on. How can I help you? And I look into my phone. They texted me about 2 minutes ago that the flight is delayed because of mechanical problem. It actually appears on the board there that's saying the flight get delayed, and it was just announced by the person on the gate that it got delayed, but they're still asking me like, how can I help you? So I said, it looks like my flight is not going to make it on time. Are you able to book me on another flight? So they're saying like, oh, hold on for a minute. Let me check. And it takes them about a minute and a half. It looks like eternity on the other side. And then they're saying, yeah, I can see your flight got delayed. There is a mechanical problem. And I'm like, yes, thank you. It's written all over in every other place. Can you try and book me on another flight so I get here on time? And then the next thing is like, wait a minute. And then there is another minute and a half. And the poor person on the other side, he opens another application. Now he's in the booking application. He's trying to figure out, can he book me on another flight? And then he's saying like, yes, I can do that. I'll get you on the next red eye that goes in another hour and a half, and so on. But you're going to lose your premium seat and get it somewhere else, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, just get me here, right? This customer experience doesn't need to be the customer experience of the future. And in the next less than 20 minutes, we're going to show you what you can do so that basically your customers, your employees, your partner can basically interact with you, with the data that you have about them in a way better way than it was ever possible before. Okay? So as I'm starting, I want to introduce you to K2view. K2view is the market leader in data product platform. You can see here a lot of logos. Don't look into all of them. I'll just say like the largest customers in the world, in the largest scale, are using K2view as a data platform. And like any other data platform, we're actually solving more than one use case. We're going to talk today only about one. It will be similar to the airline story that I was telling you, but we're actually in the market to solve a lot of data problems. Synthetic data generation, how to generate digital twins, but not identical digital, but actually synthetic digitals. Data that you can use for testing, training models, and other things. How you can protect your data by actually creating parallel data sets that are actually masked and protected. A full test data management that allow you to use testing agent that generates data for your test scenarios so that you can automate innovation. A lot of you are probably starting to play with automatic coding of applications. These applications will need to be tested. And for that, you will need a lot of testing data. This is where test data management is coming to help you. Next is migration, whether it is cloud migration or other migrations. This is another area that K2view shines. Customer 360, product 360, order 360, etc., another area. But what Hod and I are going to focus today is really how to make enterprise data effective for Gen AI. So this is going to be our focus. And I really hope, I know that I heard a lot in this conference about how Gen AI is going to help analytics. We're not going to cover any of that. We're going to talk about how is Gen AI going to be able to benefit from enterprise data. So I already tried to touch about how Gen AI is changing everything, and it does. It does change how we interact with contents, with copilots. I think you all must be using one, whether you like it or not. Even Apple is getting there, I think. We're definitely in a place that vibe coding is a real thing, and if it's not vibe coding, then your ability to really very, very quickly code from spec to code is an unbelievable way. If you are not doing it and you have kids that are less than in the right age, that's a great Saturday morning activity. Research and your ability to do deep research of any topic, including everything that I'm sharing here, is another area that Gen AI is changing in a very, very big way. And yes, like a lot of this conference is talking about, Gen AI is changing analytics. It's enabling things in analytics that you couldn't do before. But in this session and K2view, we are really focusing on operational use cases. How you can automate, how you can basically change the way you're operating, leveraging Gen AI. And I would argue that from everything that you're seeing here, this is one of the most meaningful changes that will happen. This is actually changing the way that every one of our companies are going to interact with customers, with partners, with our own employees. So I couldn't put here all of the examples. To my friend here at the corner, there is a travel example. I gave you already a travel example. What does it mean to change operation in a carrier? How do I change and modify flight? How am I actually going to be able to automatically assign the right seat for everybody and so on? These are all areas that are operational use cases that Gen AI can really improve. In the telco industries, we have customers that what they do is when the Wi-Fi is down, you can actually automate notification to everybody. You can automate your network management so that you're recovering from problems in an automatic way. In the healthcare, most of the healthcare industry have been very passive. You're only getting treatment when you go to the doctor. How much can agents actually go and proactively do for you as an individual? Again, a massive opportunity for change. And banking, answering and automating and optimizing your investment portfolio, your mortgages, your payments, and almost everything else. So massive opportunity. Again, I'm not talking about analytics, I'm talking about an opportunity for operations and automation of operation. So how is it being done today? Just like the airline example that I gave in the beginning, today what happened is that usually a human being is going to go into an application, he's going to navigate or she's going to navigate through the menus and get to some screen with some information, like your flight got delayed. Then they'll go to another application and see the available options. And then lastly, they'll go to a third application and check what does it mean financially to change something, etc. Only then they can actually compile an answer and get back to the customer. There is no reason for you as leaders in your organization to do things this way. When the questions come in, there is an ability to basically automate this entire process across the application in a way that will make it very, very useful. And in a way that the customer experience is going to change at the same time that your cost of operation is going to get reduced. And the use case that you're seeing here on the screen, what is the status of my credit card? Can I change my limits on the credit card and so on? We will show in a live demo. We will show how you can actually get all of that done with minimal or no human intervention in a way that the customer, the client, is significantly happier with the results. So you should be asking me, or you should ask inside your organization, so how do you make your Gen AI work with the current system, with the current backend system? Because there must be a lot of experiments and maybe some production AI already working inside your org. So usually in this case, the first solution is let's just use APIs. And what does it mean? It means that the APIs that already exist, so we're starting to create a lot of new APIs, and these APIs, we're just basically, the agents are calling these APIs. If you've been in the integration business as long as I've been, this is called basically the integration nightmare or hairball. It means that everything that changes breaks it. It means that you can control the amount of calls to the backend. It is the wrong solution. If somebody is doing it on the experimental level, it's great. This will not be a last-longing production system. It will just require an unbelievable amount of maintenance just to keep up and make it work. So somebody very, very smart in Anthropic said APIs is the past and the new way to do things is MCP. And they're right, this is the new way to do things. But MCP doesn't solve the hairball. It put an AI envelope around an existing API. The hairball is here, the problems of the callbacks are here, all the nastiness of these solutions are here. So MCP should be part of the problem, but it's not good enough to solve the API problem. And if somebody in your org is saying, oh, just expose it as an MCP, you should tell them that exposing a headache through an MCP is a headache on the other side of the MCP. It doesn't change the headache. So there are people, including in this conference, that will say, we already solved this hairball problem, we already solved this data availability and performance problem. You can go to the data warehouse and ask these questions. But the truth is that the data warehouse is a great place to ask analytical questions, questions about patterns, about the data of yesterday. It is the wrong place to ask operational questions. Nobody will ask what their balance is in the data warehouse because the balance has changed 100 times since the data warehouse was updated. Nobody's going to ask about the flight that got delayed from the data warehouse because the data warehouse is not updated. This is for analytics. You can still ask and leverage GenAI to do analytics better, but this is, I would call it like a very small part. The real solution is basically not with the data lake. So people in the GenAI business, they started to look, how can we solve this problem? So one part of the solution is actually adding a vector database or a RAG to help you in real time query unstructured data. So that's a portion that is actually solved. And this solution is something that I assume you're all implementing. If not, then you definitely should look at it. But this is really good for the unstructured data. So we said API, very limited solution, suffering from a lot of limitation, etc. Data lakes, good for analytics, but the data there is not operational, not able to answer the real customer questions when they are with us. And we said that the vector DB is only solving the unstructured data. So you need inside your data architecture an additional component. It's not replacing your investment so far, but it is making GenAI actually work. Something that can answer consistently and in the right latency all of the information in the right level of performance. And I saw some of you taking pictures. This is the slide that I recommend to take a picture because this is the right future architecture. The right future architecture is going to have data products that are going to represent information from the lake. They're going to represent information from the vector database, but it's also going to have a lot of real-time information coming from the back-end systems. And a data agent that will sit on this data product is going to be responsible to deliver that information to your operational agent. So if something is responsible for customer support, it will be able to get all the data. If there is a shipping agent, it will be able to get all the data. And these data agents are a critical part for you to be successful. And these data agents need to sit on clear metadata, on a clear data structure that basically a data product does. So what does a data product mean? A data product actually means that you have a direct link to the live data, meaning that you have access to real-time data on your backend system. It means that there is rich metadata so that AI understands what it receives. It's critical for the repeatability of use of all the agents. It means that there is validation and transformation that happens to the data in flight as part of the data product. It means that there is governance, security, and privacy enforced on the data, and it means that it could be delivered through API, SQL, MCP, and other things. This is the one point in the organization to get live data. This is what the data agent is sitting on and able to basically answer and help the rest of the agent be successful. So really a new critical part inside your organization. And before Hodi is going to do a live demo, I'm going to give you a live customer. So Cellcom is a leading telco provider in the Middle East. They have this solution fully in production. They've taken human agents and got them the assistance of an AI agent. This shortened the calls between 10 to 30%, meaning that it saved them about 30% of the cost of the people in the call center. It actually means more than that, that basically first interaction is more successful, 10 to 20% more answers are resolved on the first call. And unbelievably, instead of training the new employees for a whole week, they train them for one day because the AI agent is helping them with the complex cases getting the right answer. And above all, it ensures a consistent, successful message. Generation 1 implemented into production, full scale, entire call center, leveraging K2view on AWS with Anthropic, right? Very nice, nice example. I think this is the time that I'm going to ask Hod to make it real for all of you.
Okay, I'm using a small mic. Hopefully you can hear me in the back. Okay, good. I'm just going to jump to the demo because we're very short on time. Our use case is going to be a customer support use case. Ronen was talking about this new foundation layer, the data agents. I need this. Sorry, Ronen was talking about the new foundation layer, the data agents and the data products. Let's see those lives on a customer success example. I'm a customer representative. I'm getting a call from a customer. I don't know what the customer is going to ask. What I do know is that they're going to expect rapid response, customer interaction, and they might be asking me data that derived from different systems, from different technologies altogether. So we're going to jump and start with the end, right? The first thing that the data product really gives the initial benefit is that it gives us a 360 contextual view of everything we know about that business context, in our case, a customer. That means that I have one place where I have business contextual data about the customer who's calling, and it's kept fresh, and it's translated to business terms, and the data agent can use it to predict the reason why the customer is calling. So the first thing the customer representative sees on the screen is basic information that our data agent was able to gather from that customer, including predictive information to why the customer might be calling. That allows us to provide a much more personalized interaction. I can assume the customer is calling because they had an invoice 2 minutes ago that was higher than last month, or because they have an outage, or because their flight is delayed and they're going to miss this next flight. Now, if the answer can be driven from the initial, what we call customer profile, the initial analysis of the customer, then great. But if not, the customer representative still has a chat experience where they can now ask whatever question the customer is asking. And let's assume the customer is complaining that they reached the max credit limit. So the first thing the customer representative wants to know is what are the limits on the card. And I'm going to put this down for a second while I write it down. If you don't mind holding it. Okay. What are the limits on my customer's credit cards? Okay, so I asked the first questions, what are the limits on my customer's credit card? And the first thing that you see here is the differentiation, right? It's the fact that you ask a question, you get a response back in what we call conversational latency. The data agents and the data product, what they give us is the ability to access the data for operational type of scenarios, right? So what happened here, the question actually went to the data agent. The data agent analyzed the request, understood the intent, and found the right data product that is relevant to answer that question. And then it found what we call the MVD, minimum viable data, that is needed in order to answer that question. And that is done using our data product. This is an example of a customer data product in our banking example, where we essentially create and organize the data from that business context. We bring data about the customer from the CRM, let's say an SAP, and we connect it here to the deposit. Maybe that's a mainframe using our new partners, Rocket Software here in the back. We use them to connect to all your legacy mainframes. And they connect it with loans, it might be APIs and files, and you get a metadata view of all the data that belongs to the customer. And because the data agent knows to find the individual data that is relevant to the question, it gives you something really valuable that you can actually serve fresh data. Now the creation of these data products are done, there's a lot of automation, there's a lot of AI built to it, including the ability to analyze the data and analyze the relationship and understand the business essence of the data, because the consumer, the AI agent, doesn't know necessarily Chinese here, but they understand the business essence of the data. They don't know a column called ABCD, they understand what it means from a business perspective. So all of that is automated and built within our K2view platform, and that results in the ability to also refresh the data. If you look at the answer that I got here, for credit card number 1, Visa, the balance here or the limit was $2,000. I'm going to simulate a scenario where I actually change the limit in the underlying source system, not in K2view, in the technology below, to $3,000. I'm just going to run this query, it's going to update the source system, and I'm going to come back here, and I'm just going to ask the exact same question. And again, this goes to the data product. The data product analyzes the information, understand the business context, understand the data product, understand that we need the credit card. The data product is trigger, refreshing the data, because we don't need to refresh all the customer's information, just the context of that individual who is asking the question, and you get a sub-second or a real-time or near real-time type of interaction with the data. I would just mention, because I know in the interest of time, that you can configure the data agents, that by the way are templatized, so you have out-of-the-box template, but you can customize and build them. You can configure them to do much more advanced type of activities. For example, consider this question that I have here on the list. Can you recommend a better credit card? A better credit card for me means understanding my usage of data. I jokingly say that my wife spent a lot in Amazon, so I want a card that gives me a lot of points in Amazon. I travel internationally a lot. I need a card that doesn't charge international fee. Right? So you need to understand the usage of my data. You need to combine it with my credit score, because I might not be eligible for additional credit card. And you need to combine that with the traditional RAG of here, all the list of credit cards that the bank offer. And what you can see here, that the agent actually builds a plan that brings all these pieces together dynamically. It assembles the data that is relevant. Call a tool that brings the usage of the customer. Get the customer's social security because they needed to get the credit card, and then search the knowledge base, search the RAG, in order to combine all of this together, data, and provide a much more personalized answer. Based on your excellent credit score and your spending habits, these are the credit cards that we offer. So the data agents are not just used for small individual questions. You can configure them to do very important tasks. By the way, including the ability to update the source data, to take actions, to call ServiceNow APIs to trigger a process. All of that can be configured with the data product. Trying to do it really quickly, Ronen, so I can hand it back to you.
So what are key takeaways? The first one is current data architecture have constraints. And most of us have invested a lot of time and money in building them so they're optimized for analytics. GenAI is offering you an unparalleled opportunity to drive operational improvement. And these agents that you're going to build to do that, they require a different architecture. So instead of supporting AI, and you need to shift into architecting for AI, and we strongly recommend that you will stop by our booth 116 at the end, and you can actually learn more. For those of you that have been here, there is a drawing. We're going to try and give you a coffee grinder to get your long nights more successful with the help of coffee. So please come and visit us, and thank you, and good luck in your GenAI journey. We're here to help you.